Boss HM2 heavy metal pedal. It's not only one of the most legendary pedals in metal history, it was a huge catalyst in forging the ripping sound of early Swedish death metal. Though it was only in production from 1983 to 1991, its trademark sound has influenced generations of bands and can still be heard today resonating from the underground. If you love the monstrous sound of bands like Entomb, Dismember, and Carnage, then you should really dig this list of 7 killer bands still using the HM2 pedal today. And we're starting off with one of my favorite death metal bands out there, Entrails. Entrails is a death metal band hailing from Sweden and have actually been around since 1990. They weren't pleased with any of the material they were working on at the time, and the band died out around 1998. Skip forward 10 years, and they finally released some material, 2 demos before their first full-length Tales from the Morgue in 2010. After that, they released The Tomb Awaits, Raging Death, and Obliteration. They released their 5th full-length World Inferno earlier this year with a new singer, bassist, and drummer, and it's still fucking crushing death metal, suffocated with the HM2. Entrails has a very dark, fiendish sound with elements reminiscing of old horror movies. Besides Entrails delivering a barrage of brutal riffs, they remain as one of the top modern death metal bands that have truly preserved the essence of the old school Swedish sound. Probably the most well-known death metal band on this list, Bloodbath started off as a side project between members of Opeth and Catatonia in 1998, 2 bands from Stockholm, Sweden. They released 3 full-length albums in the following 10 years, Resurrection Through Carnage, Nightmares Made Flesh, and The Fathomless Mastery. Once the project became more serious, Michael Ackerfeld decided to pursue Opeth full-time and left Bloodbath. That's when Nick Holmes of Paradise Lost was brought in to record their 4th full-length Grand Morbid Funeral in 2014. Bloodbath's music is something fierce. The old-school death metal influences of bands like Entomb, Morbid Angel, and others can be heard through the disgusting HM2 tone and riffing, complex time signatures, and spine-splitting solos. Because Bloodbath is a side project, their music along with live performances are pretty exiguous, but no matter what's in store for their future, you can probably expect it to sound like buzzsaws. Hailing from America, Horrendous is a death metal band that formed in 2009. They've released a demo and 3 full-length albums since then, The Chills in 2012, Ecdysis in 2014, and Eneretta in 2015. Though they used the Boss HM2, Horrendous deviated from the classic Swedish death metal style most of these other bands have on the list, and took a more unique approach. Though their music can be fierce, dark, and even melodic at times, Horrendous is phenomenal at creating incredibly majestic atmospheres. They seem to remain in a steady progression of maturity as their songwriting, lyrical themes, and ideas get better and better. These guys are definitely worth checking out. Next up is Bastard Grave. Another death metal band from Sweden showing their love for their classic death metal bands like Dismember, Bolt Thrower, and Autopsy. They only have 1 full-length release out called What Lies Beyond, which came out in 2015. Bastard Grave isn't necessarily doing anything different than other Swedish death metal bands, but what they are doing is making old-school sounding death metal and doing it fucking well. Crusty, groove-heavy riffs slathered with the punishing HM2 make this album a must-hear for fans of the old-school sound. Black Breath is a Washington-based band that formed in 2006 and have released 3 full-length albums since 2010, Heavy Breathing, Sentence to Life, and Slaves Beyond Death. This is a band that has no problem seamlessly merging different genres into their music and onto every record. When you listen to Black Breath, you'll hear death metal, thrash metal, crossover, and crust. They even get pretty melodic on their 2015 release, Slaves Beyond Death. They started off with more crust, hardcore punk influenced riffs on their earlier material like their 06 demo and the following EP, Razor to Oblivion, before finding a more sweet death worship path on their first full-length Heavy Breathing. Their last album, Slaves Beyond Death, definitely took a more strict, death metal dominant approach, complemented with shrieking vocals that weren't present on earlier albums. Though they have a new sound on their latest release, the album still kicks ass as they remain one of my favorite modern bands representing the HM2. Next up, we have fucking Earthrot. Hailing from Australia, this black and death metal group formed in 2013 and has released 2 EPs and 2 full-length albums since then. The first EP, Dirt, was followed by the first full-length album, followed the Black Smoke, both which came out in 2014. Their next EP was Chthonian Virtues, which came out in 2016 before they released their second full-length album, Renescentia, in 2017. They are big fans of the HM2 sound, but they aren't just another band refurbishing Entomb riffs. In fact, Entomb isn't even a strong influence on these guys at all. Their main influence comes from bands like Dark Funeral, Bolt Thrower, Shining, and Blood Red Throne. These many influences combined create music that is laden with sickening grooves, scrotal bursting heaviness, disgustingly awesome vocals, and the legendary HM2. Earthrot is exceptional at making fantastic black and death metal and are definitely worth keeping an eye on. Nails is a 3-piece that merges together punk and metal to create some of the most violently ferocious music out there. Hailing from Oxnard, California, Nails formed in 2007 and released their first EP, Obscene Humanity, in 2009 before their first full-length, Unsilent Death, in 2010. They released a second Obscene Humanity EP in 2012 and their second full-length album, Abandon All Life, the following year. 2016, they dropped their third full-length album, You Will Never Be One of Us. Nails is vehement aggression and catchy breakneck riffs mixed with power violence and the savage HM2. They're a hurricane of hostility and bone-shattering riffage, so if you're someone who likes their music turned all the way to 11, this band is for you.